Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live at 5:30. Coverage you can count on in HD.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Glover.
And I'm Cindy Sexton. Tennessee lawmakers are discussing a bill that would do away with daylight saving time throughout the state, meaning no more falling back or springing your clocks forward every 6 months.
A House subcommittee passed a bill last week. Now it goes up for a vote this week in the full House State Government Committee. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Barber has details on why this has so many people talking. Kimberly.
Yeah, Greg, Cindy, time affects us all. We base our days around what our watches say, when the sun's out. Daylight saving time is in a few weeks. We'll spring our clocks forward an hour, meaning later sunsets. Republican Representative Curry Todd introduced a bill that would keep clocks in that same spot year-round. The bill jumped its first hurdle and now has a lot of people talking about how it would change our daily lives if it's made into law.
Bill passed at the full committee.
The bill would make Tennessee the fourth U.S. state to opt out of daylight saving time and keep the clocks the same year-round. Farmers are among the biggest advocates.
Hallelujah.
McMinn County farmer Whitey Doherty says his cows get upset with all the clock shifting and don't produce as much milk for about a week following each time change.
We're over it because the cows are on routine and they like being milked at the same time every day. And so twice a year, we've got to change them for an hour.
Farmer Elizabeth Ireland is excited about the possibility of sunnier evenings.
There's a lot of labor-intensive stuff that I've had to actually get out of the business of because it gets dark so early in the winter. It's really difficult to train horses by car headlights.
She works on her North Georgia farm before and after her full-time day job in Tennessee. She agrees with some lawmakers who argue it will be confusing for those who commute between bordering states.
I'm going to literally have to have like two little stick-on clocks in my truck that say this is the Georgia time and this is the Tennessee time.
She says it's worth it, but others are not on board.
We stop changing and they do change, that it would make us be out of sync even more.
Some parents worry about kids waiting in the dark for the morning school bus, while others like the idea of more outdoor playtime after school.
Babies, they'll be getting more tired in the afternoons when it's so dark, and they get to have more time to play.
The House votes on the bill this week. The Senate companion bill isn't scheduled for a vote yet. If it passes, it would go into effect July 1st. Tennessee would still spring clocks forward next month and then stay there. Live in the studio, Kimberly Barber, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Wow, we're going to hear a lot of discussion about that one, Kimberly. Thank you. That brings us to our question of the day, which gives us a chance to hear from you at WRCB-TV.com, Facebook, and Twitter. We want your opinion on this. Should Tennessee stay on daylight saving time year-round? Our website, the majority of you, 65% say yes, 35% say no.
But as computers can be and the internet can be fickle, it was a different story on our Facebook page. The question is getting a lot of attention. Logan writes, only if the entire USA follows suit. Otherwise, no. With Tennessee having so many border states and the metro area of major cities extending into those border states, it would just create mass confusion.
And Allison agrees, saying it would be pretty strange for those of us living right over the state line in Georgia.
And maybe having a job here, huh? Finally, Wayne says, I think the whole country should do away with it. We only needed it during the Second World War, and apparently it's over at this point. LOL. Not too late to join in. Go to the website, WRCB-TV.com to vote, then head over to our Facebook page and join the conversation. Leave us your comments there. We'll use them on the air, perhaps.
Well, the cold weather caused some big problems for the Delta Queen. The floating hotel docked on Chattanooga's riverfront. These problems caused the steamboat to close its doors for business.
And Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Lauren investigated the floating landmark and found out how long it will take to fix. Story you see first on 3, Jessica.
Well, many said that they thought that the boat was sinking. A few pointed out to the back of the boat and felt that it was hitting too close to the water. Their doors were closed and yellow caution tape was placed around the front entrance.
The boat is normally winterized when it was sailing. This unusual cold snap that we've had has just been rough on her.
The historic steamboat, built back in the early 1920s, caught the attention of many passerbys this morning. They noticed the way the Delta Queen was sitting in the water was unusual.
It's tilted upwards, like the front of it's higher than the back of it. Looks like it's kind of sinking.
Chris Sandoval remembers when the now floating hotel sailed into Chattanooga in 2009. He frequently jogs through Coolidge Park and stops to appreciate the iconic landmark often. Today, he lingered a little longer, and he wasn't the only one.
It definitely looks like it's leaning in that back corner and sinking.
It's leaning, and it's sad to see that it's, maybe sinking. I wish it wasn't, because it's beautiful.
Delta Queen's operators say the vessel isn't sinking. They did explain why it appeared to be. The ballast tanks needed to be readjusted. That issue engineers fixed by this afternoon. The damage on the inside is a whole different story.
We've had several pipes rupture on the boat, so we've had to tear out several things to get to these pipes because of the age of the boat.
The cause of the damage, operator Randy Ingram says, happened because the Delta Queen wasn't built to withstand cold weather. When the temperatures dropped, several pipes broke, causing water to leak inside.
We had a couple of cabins that got wet. Carpet had a couple of walls that got wet.
Well, the Delta Queen operator says that it could take 3 weeks or longer to repair all of that inside damage. Live in the studio, I'm Jessica Lauren, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Jessica. Last week's winter storm caused problems in a lot of areas. EPB reports power has been restored for all the residents in the Tennessee Valley, but that is not the case in Georgia. Hundreds of homes and businesses are still without power in the north and central parts of the Peach State. Officials say a large chunk of the outages will require repairs by an electrician before power can be restored.
A local university plans to pack up and move to a new location. Officials at Tennessee Temple University say the college will be out of Chattanooga by next year. The school was established in the Highland Park area in 1946. An agreement was made to sell several of the TTU campus buildings to Redemption to the Nations. Still subject to approval by the university's Board of Trustees. If approved, the college will be gone by June of 2015.
In other state university news, Vanderbilt has received nearly $1.5 million to continue its AIDS research. The National Institutes of Health provided the school with the grant. The university is researching the development of a vaccine that would prevent the virus that causes AIDS. Now here are David and Sarah Sidery with a look at a story coming up all new at 6.
Cindy, a couple of weeks ago we were focused on a trial involving Lisa Barnes, who was asking for $25 million damages from the Hennon restaurant family in the death of her daughter on the railroad tracks up in Sale Creek a couple of years back. Sarah has talked to Lisa Barnes, and Sarah, she's been portrayed by some as someone who is greedy, trying to capitalize on the situation, but she says that's not the message she's sending.
Yeah, Lisa told me in an interview that it wasn't about the money, it was more about sending a strong message to the community, actually, about underage drinking. She said she had a whole list of things she wanted to do with the settlement, including giving money to Chat State, where Hannah went, doing charity runs in her daughter's honor, and doing some education programs for teens on underage drinking.
So this is Lisa Barnes today, and of course we talked about the situation involving the trial, and she feels maybe there are some misconceptions that came out in this particular news event. So Sarah will have her side of the story coming up at 6. Let's go back to you.
Thanks, guys. Coming up on Live at 5:30, you can't stop the weather, but it sure can stop you. A thick cloud of fog has rolled over parts of Russia, causing some Sochi Olympic events to be put on hold.
And we're going to see a little bit of rain coming up for this evening, and then the sun comes back for tomorrow. And then it goes away again. A roller coaster. And I'll give you all the details on my 7-day forecast.